return. Did you miss me? Admit it, you missed me.
Today, I will be decoding all the codes and ciphers shown in Gravity Falls. This is part 2 of our series. In the first part, we deciphered all the codes of Season 1. So now it is time to tackle Season 2. And believe me, Season 2 has a lot more secrets hidden within it. I will also try to teach you the techniques to decode these codes, so get ready to learn something new. Starting with the first episode of Season 2, the episode 21 titled Scary Oak. Just a quick reminder, this is the one where Mystery Shack throws a party in celebration of Gideon's defeat. The agents also show up after getting some strange signals from Stan's underground portal, and trying to get the agents' attention toward the paranormal events, Dipper accidentally summons the zombies.
Wait! This book is real! Gnomes! Cursed objects! Spells! Listen! Corpus Levitus, Diablo, Dominus, Mondo Vicia!
When translated from Latin to English, it means body, rise, devil dominion, conquer the world. Next, there is this number code shown in the episode when agents are looking at the satellite footage. You can solve these numbers using a combined cipher, meaning that all 3 ciphers covered in part 1 of this video are used one by one to decipher it. Once decoded, it means search for the. This is an incomplete sentence, so to complete it, you need to translate this other code on agent's card. This can be solved with the A1Z26 cipher, meaning you need to replace each number with the corresponding letter. Letter number 6 in the English alphabet is F, letter 12 is L, letter 1 is obviously A, and letter 7 is G. It translates to the word flag, and when combined with the previous code on the satellite footage, it now says search for the flag. Sadly, I am not sure what this means, but maybe you can figure it out. In the same episode, this journal page about the leprechauns is shown, and there are 2 codes on the page. You can translate them using Caesar's cipher from the first part of the video. All you need to do is to change each letter of this code with the letter that comes 3 letters before it. And when fully deciphered, these words say, "Watch out and kill me please." This seems pretty dark, but this just means when you hit the leprechaun, gold coins come out of his beard. However, the coins are just made of plastic. The same episode shows Dipper displaying his Big Mysteries board, and there is a cryptogram. When translated using Caesar's cipher, moving 3 letters back, it says this adorable message: "Why is Wendy so perfect?" Moving on, for those who don't know, Gravity Falls episodes from Season 2 onwards begin showing this page at the end. These pages have codes on them, and they are also decoded using the combined cipher, which means using the 3 ciphers one by one. All of them are covered in the previous part of this video. Once we translated, this says, "The man downstairs is very clever. Can he hide his plans forever?" This refers to our favorite Grunkle who is working on a portal in his secret underground room. Now moving to the final code, which is shown in the end credits scene of this episode. This code is translated using a brand new method. You can find a hint of this in the intro of this episode. Once you play the whisper at the end backward, it says, Key Vigenere is referring to the Vigenere cipher, which is a bit complicated. This cipher cannot be deciphered on its own. To solve this, you need an actual keyword to unlock the code. So when we go looking around to find the keyword, we find this written on the wall of Gideon's jail cell. It says Whittle, and this is the key that we can use to unlock the code. From here on out, all end credit codes will need a keyword that is hidden in the episode to unlock the end credit code for that episode. Now, let's begin with the deciphering process. So here we have this end credit code which says Smovska JDFV, and the key is Whittle. For step 1, you need to repeat the key under the code, repeating the letter from the key to match the exact length of the code like so. For step 2, replace the letters of the key with the numbers that correspond to the number of the alphabet starting from 0. Since A is 0, then B is 1 and C is 2. You get the point. Instead of W, we will write 22. Instead of I, we will write 8. The 2 Ds will be 3, L will be 11, and E is 4. For step 3, let's forget about this middle part and put numbers directly under the code. Now we need to move the letter above the first number to that many numbers backwards from that alphabet. This means that since we ended up 22 under S, we have to move back 22 places for S. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Here we ended up with W. There is an 8 under M, and moving 8 places back we end up with E. Similarly, moving 3 places back from O, 1, 2, 3, we end up with L. Once we go through the whole process, the code is welcome back. It's just a welcoming message since this is the first episode of Season 1. I know it's pretty underwhelming, but I promise that the codes later on are better. I know Vigenere Cipher is hard. So many will not understand this with this single explanation. Well, unless you have a really big brain. And if you are one of those smart people, I have a challenge for you to solve and answer in the comments. The Vigenere Cipher Challange Code is DSTFVDTRDXQZWXXGSH, and as for the key, I'll give you a hint. The key has 3 letters, and it sits on a certain conman's head. That's all for episode 1. Moving on to episode 22, Into the Bunker. It's the one where our gang goes into the bunker following Dipper's lead. And when they are trying to find the author, they come across the shapeshifter. The first code appears when Dipper shows the journal to display the hidden passageway. There is a whole page covered with 1s and 0s. This binary code can be translated to put all 6 pieces together. This refers to the shorts that aired between season 1 and 2, and the 6 pages shown at the end of them. This whole thing is also explained in the first part of the video. Later, the cryogenic tube section shown in the episode has some strange symbols written on it. This is the author substitution cipher, and all you need to do is use this sheet to switch each symbol to the corresponding alphabet on the sheet. Once deciphered, these symbols translate to, "Am I me? Is he me?" That's just a reference to the anxiety-inducing creepy abilities of the shapeshifter. On this other page about the cooling chamber, there are more strange symbols. Once translated, they decode to "Ice Ice Baby." It's definitely a reference to this Vanilla Ice hit song called Ice Ice Baby. It was pretty big back in the day. Ask any millennial in your family about it. Next is the page section revealed at the end of the episode. Once decoded with combined ciphers, it says, "Improper use of machinery could lead to utter catastrophe." Lastly, we move to the end credit of the episode. But since it's the Vigenere Cipher, we need a key to decode it.
Ooh, this is so stupid.
And the key is the word shifter written on a barrel in the bunker. Using the key, we can decode the cipher, which says, "What kind of disaster indeed." Onwards to the episode 23, The Golf War. It's the one where Mabel challenges Pacifica to a golf off and things get out of hand. The keyword "whatevs" is seen on the castle wall, right after the golf cart dodges the giant swinging axes. Using the key "whatevs," the ending credits are decoded to read, "Remember Big Henry." If you don't, this might shake your memory.
Minor hole. I wonder what cute, silly things are going on down there.
Stop! You can't go in there! There's been a gas leak! Anyone who goes in there will die! Oh, Big Henry! Big Henry!
I will take it.
No! Don't go, Big Henry! We need you!
Go home, Polly.
This is probably the darkest gag in Gravity Falls. My man sacrificed his life so they could play golf. Not even proper golf, just mini golf. Next is the end page, which uses combined ciphers that translate to "Old man sleeping on the green can't help but wonder what he's seen." This is a pretty strong hint for the future, referring to Old Man McGucket. It even spawned a lot of fan theories during the time. Next up is episode 24, Sock Opera. For reference, this is the episode where Mabel is trying to put on a sock puppet event to impress Gabriel Bensona, a local puppeteer and one of Mabel's many love interests, while Dipper is trying really hard and failing to unlock the laptop. Bill Cipher also shows up in Dipper's dreams to entice him into a deal. And later on, when Dipper accepts the deal, Bill takes possession of his body.
What? This
Moving to the codes, there is one in Dipper's journal during a musical montage. This cryptogram uses the @bash cipher, meaning it decodes by replacing each letter with its opposite. Once decoded, it says, "Pure energy, not skin and bone, rising like the shepherd's tone." The shepherd's tone is an artificial sound wave that sounds like it is continually rising, but does not actually change pitch. It's kind of like an audio illusion. It's relevant because in one interview on Reddit, Alex Hirsch revealed that Shepherd's Tone is Bill's favorite song. This might have been a hint that Bill is not as powerful as he seems. Or maybe he just likes it because reality is an illusion and Bill is a pretty big fan of illusions. Anyway, the key for the end credits is Cipher, which is found in the mirror's reflection after Bill takes over Dipper's body. After deciphering the end credit code using the hint, it reads, "We've all had some fun tonight, but let's not forget who the real puppet masters are, reptoids who have infiltrated our government." This is a reference to a real and very true conspiracy theory that says our politicians are actually reptiles behind their masks. See, this is the undeniable proof. Moving on to the combined cipher on the end page, it translates to, "No puppet strings can hold me down, so patiently I watch this town. Abnormal soon will be the norm. Enjoy the calm before the storm." The creepiness is pretty high on this one. I mean, Bill is actually terrifying because technically he is a canon character in real life too. I'm sure someone has seen him in a dream. All we can do is just pray that nobody makes a deal. Moving to episode 25, Suze and the Real Girl, which is about the failed dating life of Suze because of a chronic lack of Riz. The key for the Vigenere cipher is Barrow, found on a pizza box in the kitchens of Hoo Ha Owl's Pizza-Matronic. The word barrow in itself is a reference to this morbid thing that appears cute to Mabel. Anyway, using the keyword barrow, the end credit cipher translates to Anthiding Canhadplan. It's a reference to the dating sim in this episode. We also have this binary code in the episode, which translates to Space Jam 2, referencing the super famous franchise, which was announced to be released at that time featuring LeBron James. As for the end page, once we use the combined cipher, the page section says, "Winning hearts by daylight, possessing robots by moonlight. Her emotional baggage is a real fright. She has the one name Jiffany." This is a reference to the old English dub theme song of Sailor Moon. From where that rogue AI Tiffany is probably inspired from. Let's move a bit faster from now. Next is episode 26, Little Gift Shop of Horrors. The keyword non-canon is found on the upper level rail planks in Harry Claymore's home. Hence the ending credits cryptogram is. Check out Dr. Waddle's latest book, A Brief History of Oink 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 Oink. Sounds like a fascinating book to read. Anyways, the page section at the end of the episode is deciphered to, "All animation is black magic." Which it kinda is. You are basically bringing new characters to life with only your imagination and drawing skills. Moving to episode 27, Society of the Blind Eye, the pretty important lore-heavy episode where the people who remove the memories are revealed. Related to this, there is a Journal 3 entry. It has these symbols that translate to, "If my suspicions are correct, this is the work of Fiddleford." Does he really have to go to such great lengths to forget? Moreover, in the same episode, Old Man McGucket says, "Iru XRKSVI, Gersentov."
Hero! Xerxes! Gersmatov!
He is actually speaking in @bash, and when translated he says, "Bill Cipher, triangle." Moving on, the key for the Vigenere cipher is erase, found here on the spine of the Triceratops. Using that key, the end credit cipher becomes, "Ignorance is bliss, but bliss is boring." Those are some wise words, calling back to Old Man McGucket's past. As for the page section, it is showing 4 codes once more. Throwing combined cipher on them, we get Gideon's tantrums, misspelled tattoos, Chandra's rejections, society's views, a fear of witches, a life of regret. These are the things that they try to forget. A beautiful poem that talks about all the current members of the Society of the Blind Eye one by one. It goes, Gideon's tantrums, misspelled tattoos, Chandra's rejections, society's views, a fear of witches, a life of regret. These are the things that they try to forget. Moving on, episode 28, Blendon's Game. The key is the word capacitor, which is found on the ticker behind a statue of the Time Baby. This solves the end credits code too. Don't do the time crime if you can't do the time. As for the end page of episode 28, it says, "Join the Time Paradox Avoidance Enforcement Squadron. Great hours, solid benefits, sign up yesterday." All of these are witty callbacks to the Time Enforcers during the episode. Moving on to episode 29, The Love God. The keyword in this episode was so well hidden that the showrunners thought this would take a long while to solve. This keyword was actually spread across very fast-moving frames within this scene of Mabel running. However, a fan caught it instantly and got the keyword. When compiled alphabet by alphabet, it says, "goat and a pig." And when we apply the key to the code, we get, "I eat kids," which is a reference to this monstrosity scene in the episode called the Stan Balloon.
It's finally done. When these idiots see this balloon, they'll understand that I love young people. I heart kids. All right, let her rip. Oh no, a letter rip. What the H? I eat kids, but we're kids.
It's heaven's punishment for our terrible taste in everything.
As for the end page in the episode, it decodes to the phrase, "At the play or at the fair, I always see them standing there. Dressed in black, they're on my lawn, but when I turn my head, they're gone." This is a not-so-subtle nod towards the secret agents. On to episode 30, Northwest Mansion Noir. The keyword is the word cursed written on the windows of the mansion. Using this key, the end credit code is deciphered too. Next up on Utbach, did aliens write the Constitution? Crawdads and tiaras, and Florida, the show. Basically, this phrase is referencing some wacky conspiracy theories. On the other hand, when put through the combined cipher, the page section just says, "Stan is not what he seems 3 times. After getting so many of these codes casting doubt at Stan, starting from the very first episode, which showed this code in the intro page, we will finally get an answer to this Stan is not what he seems thing, which will finally get revealed in the next episode." So the hype was reaching the skies, and people knew it would be supremely climactic. That's because the title of the next episode itself was Not What He Seems. So finally, we move on to episode 31, Not What He Seems. This is where the mystery of Stan's past is finally revealed, and we also get to meet his twin. For the first code of the episode, look closely at the Journal 1 page about the floating cliff. These can be translated using author symbols to say, "My compass goes haywire the closer I get to them." Does this mean what I think it does? The answer may be underground. Another code is the license plate of the government-issued cars. They all have this code that translates to the word government. The key for end credits is also found on a license plate, on the plate of Stan's car, which says Stanley Mobile. Using the key Stanley Mobile, we can unlock the end credits code to reveal the phrase, "The original mystery twins," referring to the Stan twins. A similar reference is made in the end page code. It says 30 years, and now he's back. The mystery in the Mystery Shack. This is pretty self-explanatory. Next is episode 32 called A Tale of Two Stans. You can find the key on this frame. It is the word Sixer. The end credit code translates to Backup S'more University, you tried. As the name suggests, Backup S'more University was a second choice for people who couldn't get into the better ones. Moving to the end page section, it translates to this beautiful poem about Philbrick Pines, the dad of the two Stans and the great-grandfather of Dipper and Mabel. It says, "A stubborn, tough New Jersey native. Philbrick wasn't too creative. Having twins was not his plan. So he just shrugged and named both Stan." That's a top-tier old school guy moment right there. Next is episode 33, Dungeons, Dungeons, and More Dungeons. The word Radmaster is the key that can be seen on the piece of paper on the floor behind Dipper after Grunkle Ford rolls a 32. Using the key, the end credits cryptogram translates to Excelsi whatever. This phrase is a callback to that sassy elf.
Excelsi whatever.
While the end page of this episode reads, "Fun and games are great distractions, but small things can have chain reactions." Next up is the episode 34, The Stanchurian Candidate. The one about the election race between Grunkle Stan and Bud Gleeful, who is Gideon's dad. The Vigenere key is, working it, seen in the upper left corner of a newspaper. When translated with the key, the cryptogram in the end credits says "Get 'em." As for the end page of the episode, it says, "Be wary of whom you belittle. Big problems can start out whittle." This obviously is a reference to Gideon, as he is not to be taken lightly. A hint for the future. Next is episode 35, The Last Mabelcorn. What's interesting is that this episode actually has two significant phrases with author Cipher hidden within it. First is here when Dipper is looking through the Cipher file. These symbols are translated to the phrase, black and white. The other one is found here in the cave which Ford found. This one reads, "It started with bad dreams which became nightmares. I was foolish. I wanted answers. I painted the symbols. I said the words, when gravity falls and the earth becomes sky, fear the beast with just one eye." Moving to the key, it is the word Schmendrick found on a stump when Candy, Grenda, and Wendy enter the gnome's tavern. Using the key, the end credit reads, "A simple man with eager ears may trust the whispers that he hears." While the end page section says, "In Cipher's game, he needs a pawn. Be sure to know which side you're on." Moving on to episode number 36, Roadside Attraction. This episode is probably the weakest episode in all of Gravity Falls. It also has a weird romance moment between Candy and Dipper, which was never developed further. And honestly, we don't mind this ship getting abandoned since we all already know the best ship of the show. Anyway, the keyword is Dopper, which is found here in the spider webs near Dipper and Candy. Using the key, we get the end credit code, which says, "Suze, like a noble golden retriever, eventually found his way homeward, and befriended a talking bulldog and sassy cat along the way." As for the end page section, it says, "Carla McCorkle returned all his flowers. Marilyn divorced him after only 6 hours. Beatrice slapped him for being a cad. Old Goldie's the best girlfriend Stan ever had." Damn, after reading that, we need some F's in the chat for Stan for sure. That's a pretty brutal love life that I won't even wish upon my worst enemy. Anyway, let's move to episode 37, Dipper and Mabel versus the Future. Here we find these black symbols inside the UFO that Dipper took a selfie with. These symbols can't be translated with our handy author substitution sheet. These are different symbols, and to find their translation, we need to go to the Gravity Falls book titled Dipper's and Mabel's Guide to Mystery and Nonstop Fun. Here you will find this diagram that tells you how to translate this cipher. All you need to do is replace all the symbols with the corresponding letters. Using this sheet, you can translate these black symbols, and they say, Probability Drive Engine, Probatorium, Blurgbloth and Beyond, and Used Thaton's Half Price. There are also these brown symbols behind them which say, Specimen has escaped is changing forms. This is referring to the shapeshifter and basically telling us that it is an alien. What's more fascinating are these other symbols written on the pipe. These symbols translate to say, Betty and Barney were here. This is a reference to real-life couple Betty and Barney Hill. This American couple was from New Hampshire, and they claimed they were abducted by aliens back in 1961. This is a whole other rabbit hole you can get into if you are a fan of real-life conspiracy. As for us, we will move to the keyword that is found on the fences. It says Blue Book, and when applied to the end credit code of the episode, the code translates to, Did you miss me? That's a pretty well-known Bill Cipher phrase, a callback to his return.
Did you miss me? Admit it, you missed me.
As for the end page, it reads, The prophecy seemed far away, but finally we've reached the day. Give up the past. Embrace the strange. Everything you care about will change. That's a pretty accurate description of what's to come, and from here on we go to the Weirdmageddon episodes. Episode 38, Weirdmageddon Part 1 XPCVIC This code XPCVIC is in Vigenere Cipher, and when translated with the key Blue Book from the previous episode, it literally says Weirdmageddon, which is pretty weird, but that's to be expected. Anyway, the new key of this episode is found on a broken wall. It reads Silbiffer, which is also pretty weird. Using the key, we translate the cryptogram of end credits to. It will take 1,000 years for Time Baby's molecules to reconstitute, And when he's back, he's going to be very cranky. Turns out the Time Baby is actually immortal and not actually gone when Bill destroys him. It's just that he needs 1,000 years to reform himself. Now let's go to the end page of the episode. When translated, it says, "Game is over and I won. Now it's time to start the fun. I always love corrupting lives. Now let's see which pine survives." Pretty evil stuff from Bill. Moving to episode 39, Weirdmageddon Part 2, Escape from Reality. After looking for a while for the key, we find it here on the fences once again, and it says Dippy Fresh. Using the key to decode the end credits scene we get. Kraz and Zyler went on to run the legal department at a major children's television network. So that's what Kraz and Zyler were up to when they escaped the dream prison Bill created for Mabel. Now it's time for the end page, which says, "When one gets trapped inside the past, dreams can turn to nightmares fast." This is a callback to this episode where Mabel struggled to escape the dream prison, since it represented her childhood and growing up was scary. And finally, we come to the last episode, and if you remember, the episode originally aired in 2 parts. Episode 40, the first half of Weirdmageddon Part 3, Take Back the Falls. It's the climax of the whole series, and it's time for the final battle, in order to defeat Bill Cipher once and for all. The key for the episode appears at these bookcases behind Stan, and when we combine them together they say Shacktron. Using the key, we can translate the end credit code too. Suze later forced McGucket to watch all 900 hours of Neon Crisis Mechabot Boy Revelations. That's a reference to one of the most goated anime out there, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Alex Hirsch is certainly a man of culture. Anyway, moving on to the end page of the episode. It is translated to 10 symbols placed around a wheel. Hand in hand, they'll bond the seal. But break the chain and pay the cost. The prophecy will all be lost.
My mind is fine, and there is a way to beat him with this. Many years ago, I found 10 symbols in a cave. The native people of Gravity Falls prophesied that these symbols could create a force strong enough to vanquish Bill. This whole time, I thought it was just superstition. But seeing you all here now, I finally understand that it's destiny. Dipper, the pine tree.
The crazy thing is that this prophecy has been shown from the very first episode, more specifically, in this diagram that appears in the intro page. Now that's some next level foreshadowing. With that said, we come the absolute last episode of Season 2, Episode 41, the second half of Weirdmageddon Part 3. Bill is defeated and the day is saved. Everyone in Gravity Falls is celebrating and everything comes back to normal. It's the end of a grand adventure and the Pine twins celebrate their 13th birthday, officially becoming teenagers. The summer ends, and as they depart for their homes, Alex Hirsch hits us up with another secret code. It's a Vigenere cipher, but what's strange is that the whole episode had no key for it. So fans had to guess the whole key phrase on their own through trial and error. Once they were done, the key phrase turned out to be, "Hidden deep within the woods, a buried treasure awaits." And translated code was, "Secrets lost and statues found beyond the rusty gates." This was the beginning of the cipher hunt. The search for Bill's statue that Alex Hirsch had hidden somewhere. Gravity Falls fans all around the world had to come together to solve clues hidden all over the world to find the location of the statue. But that's a story for another day. Let us know in the comments if you want the whole breakdown of clues and event of the cipher hunt. Anyway, let's go to the key that was actually discovered in the episode. It said axolotl. And after you guys screamed at me to read the Book of Bill in the comments section of my earlier video, now we know that axolotl is canon, and he is a powerful interdimensional being that sends Bill to therapy. Anyway, using the axolotl code, we can decipher the end credit code, which simply says, "Goodbye, Gravity Falls." As for the end page, it also essentially says goodbye, but in a more poetic way. Faded pictures bleached by sun. The tales told, the summer's done. In memories the pines still play, on a sunny summer's day. And with that, we are done. This was every single code found in Gravity Falls Season 2. And if I missed something, be sure to let me know in the comments.